So I'm going to use foot-pounds, oil drain bolt 21, and the oil filter is 13 foot-pounds. So oil filter 13, engine oil drain bolt 21. And I have two torque wrenches. I'll use this one because it's small enough. I have a larger one for the big ticket items I use for front axle bolts and etc. Alright, so let's get the drain bolt torqued. We'll set the torque wrench. I'll go over that here in it shortly, and then we'll get it back together. Okay, I'm going to set the torque wrench. As you can see, if you can see, the center line 0 is lined up with the center line, and we need 21 foot-pounds for the drain plug. This is in inch-pounds, so 120 inch-pounds, 125 by 12, it gives you 10 foot-pounds. So right now we're at the 120 mark, which is 10 foot-pounds. So this is 240 inch-pounds, which will give us 20 foot-pounds. So we're going to rotate this. These are the foot increments. So we're going to, the lock nuts loose. We're going to turn this until we get to the 0 on the center line. Okay, so now you see, it's hard to see chrome with the glare. One note is a trick I did is I filled the grooves in with liquid paper, white out. It showed, so you can see it a little bit. It gives a little bit of contrast. Anyway, so 0 is lined up, center line. We're at the 240, and then we're going to go one more because we're at 20 foot-pounds, and this will give us 21. So there it is. We're at 21 foot-pounds. You can see, and that's basically, we just converted inch-pounds to foot-pounds by dividing by 12, because 12 inches in a foot. So the 120 inch-pounds is equal to 10 foot-pounds. 120 divided by 12. 240 is equal to 20 foot-pounds. 240 divided by 12 is 20, and then the one increment. So that one line in the center covering up the 240 little hash. The other hash you see is just the dog leg to point out the text, but you want the hash that's touching the center line. So I'll hold that there for a second. If I get some light on it, shadows are horrible. And that's it, and then we'll tighten the lock, the nut, and it's ready to go. Anyway, I raised the front and back so I can get under. And just a note, the manual says remove this fairing, but you don't have to. You can actually see the drain plug is accessible. If you're up high enough, you can get a socket and ratchet in there. And same thing with the oil filter. Reach the oil filter, get it off, back on. Never had any trouble. Never taken the fairing off to do an oil change. So with that being said, we're gonna start the job. Okay, one thing not mentioned is the oil drain bolt has a washer, and they call it a crush washer. Should be replaced every time you change your oil. It's basically the seal, access seal. The term crush, it gets crushed with the torque to create the airtight seal, so it doesn't leak. So you can order those online through the dealer, stockpile a few of them, so every time you do your oil change, you'll have them handy. Okay, this is the part, if you want to watch, you can. I'll separate the videos, just go over the details, but this is the obvious parts where we're just gonna do the actual work. And so there we go. Of course, there's a little bit of angle, but the torque's not that much, or you can use a 3/8 drive and extension. As you can see, the cutouts here, so there's plenty of room to get to the bolt all the way out to here, and the bolt is loose. So real quick, like I said, this part, sometimes I like to see the work, sometimes you already know what you got to do, and then we let it drain and set that there. Alright, while the oil's still draining, I want to show you the crush washer. You can see the it was indented. When it's purchased, it's flat on both sides. As you can see, you'll get it, and it does crush under the torque to create a seal between the bolt and the casing, or the washer and then the casing. So I haven't had any problems. I've actually used the same one a couple of times, different oil changes, because I forgot to order more. I put it back on, I haven't had any leaks. So right now we're gonna let this finish draining, wipe it clean, and then remove the oil filter. We just want to show the washer. Anyway, we're dripping, the oil filter's loose, so I'm gonna go ahead and take it off the rest of the way, let it drop, and then let that drain. And then we'll get to putting it back together. Back to the torque wrench. We got the bolt, crush washer, filter's not on yet, so I have room to clear with the ratchet, and it's not going to hit the threads or anything of the oil filter. 17mm per the book, 21 foot-pounds. This is in inch-pounds, so it's 240 plus the 1 mark gives us 240 divided by 12 gives you the 20 foot-pounds, plus the 1 incremental mark gives us 21. So which I showed previous video. Alright, so another important part of the torque wrench, you want to do it all in one motion. You don't want to do it, tighten it, and then come back, start it. Well, you want the bolt hand, as tight as you can get it hand. But in other words, you want to click once you start your main torque. You want it to click on the same motion, but we can actually make it snug. But now here, alright, start as high up as I can. I'm going to hold this on, and basically you can just apply pressure and you'll feel it click. There we go. That was 21 foot-pounds of torque applied to that bolt. Want to double check it? There, see, now it clicks. It didn't turn. So I had a hand tight, and I just snugged a little bit, but then it started the motion. You want one motion and keep going till you get that click, and it bounces back. Alright, drain bolt is now torqued to the specs, and we will add put the filter on, the new filter, KN303 is what I order. And I guess I should have took all this off, so I'm not going to bore you with the me unwrapping the filter. Okay, now time to put the new filter on. They recommend you always just coat that with a little bit of oil. You can just use some of the old oil just to get the gasket lubricated, and we will spin this on. Torque wrench has already been preset. 13 foot-pounds for the oil filter. I like the one that's got the nuts, because in the past, if it doesn't have that, just use a filter wrench or something and guess at it. So let's see if we're on. I'm going to hold it on, and then we're going to, well, we're going to turn it until we get to the point where we can hit the torque limit. There we go. Seemed like it's a lot, but it's pretty loose. And 13 foot-pounds. Using a torque wrench set for inch-pounds, which just do the conversion. And it'll say that in the instructions too, or you YouTube it. Anyway, now we've drained the oil, replaced the filter, torque the drain bolt back on, and they recommend replacing the crush washer. I did not, don't have one, don't want to wait. I'm going to ride it, but I'm going to order a new drain bolt. It's a good idea to have spares. That way you can see it's starting to round off on the bolt a little bit. So eventually you want to replace that so you don't have to deal with it when it finally strips. And new filter, both torqued. We will put oil in it, and then we'll get started up, let it circulate, run, let it settle, and then we'll check it again and make sure we have the right amount. Again, this is my stock 2016. Now it did come with the Two Brothers Racing, the Black Series pipes, but the dealer put these on. This was on the showroom. This bike was bought on the showroom, just like this, 0 miles, brand new. For some reason, I don't know why, don't care, but I got a good deal because it sat there long enough that they wanted $1,600 extra for these, and I got it down to the same stock price plus $300. So I got these for $300, and I got the stock cans too, which are up in the closet. So it's all stock. Nothing's ever been done to it except ride and maintenance, and we'll do some chain maintenance here next video and talk a little bit about that. Stay tuned. Okay, everything's oil drain, plug, filter, new filter, plugs back on, torqued. I put in 4 quarts of the Castro 20W50 that meets the Kawasaki spec for the API-SG JSO MA-2. Anyway, the manual will give you a couple variances of that. SA, or the API-SG JSO dash, I think MA1 or MA2. Check it out in the manual. Castro mentions it's motorcycle oil because of the wet clutch on the ZX-14. So the book recommends 10W40. I use 20W50 just because of the extreme heat. When I say extreme, you know, it's always hot in Texas, summer, spring, even up in winter. We're still having mid-90s here, late September. So that's my preference. You know, if you want to use what the book says, 1040. Everybody's going to find what works for them, or what they prefer, or what they're happy with or comfortable with, and that's what it's all about. This is simply what I use and what I'm comfortable with. So I put in the 4 quarts, and I'm showing this here, a little reflection that I put. It says 4.4, so I got 4, roughly 0.4. There's, you know, I didn't measure it. I didn't get a measuring cup. I just stopped short of the half mark, so that I don't have 4.5 quarts in. And now put the filler cap back on, and as I showed in an earlier video, the bike is really level, really close to level, so that I can run it, let it fill the filter, let it circulate, and I'm going to let it drain down, and then we're going to check the window and see where we're at. And I'm going to be comfortable if it's, and I want it right at the high mark. This bike is totally stock, bought brand new, 0 miles on it. I put every mile on it, so I know how it's been ridden, and no problems with it so far. Anyway, I'm going to fill it up to the top mark, but I've got to run it and let the oil drain back down for a little bit, and then we'll go from there. But there's the 4.4 quarts that I've already put in the bike, and we'll see what happens.